Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In our previous class, we have been discussed about the parturition and lactation. So today's class, let us discuss about another one important topic, that is we are calling it as a mammary gland. So it is one of the most important topic for your exam. So you know very well, male mammary gland, to whom we are calling is the milk secreting gland, we are calling it as a mammary gland. So mammary gland means that these are the milk producing modified sweat gland present inside the breast of in the female individual. So what is the meaning of a mammary gland? Means it is a milk secreting gland. So this gland, it is modified by the sweat gland. That means here sweat gland has been modified into the mammary gland. So sweat gland, it has been modified into which gland? Sweat gland, it has been modified. So keep remember this one. So mammary gland, it has been modified by the sweat gland. So sweat gland, it has been modified and converted into the sweat gland, it has been modified and converted into the mammary gland. So which will be present in the female individual. So in the breast or else in the inside the breast it will be present. So they regulate by the endocrine system. So they are acting like a endocrine system. They are regulated by whom? Is they are acting like a their endocrine system and becomes functional in response of the hormone changes associated with pregnancy and childbirth. So they are they are associated means so these glands these glands will become say functional when means due to the influence of the what means due to the influence of the hormone. So these glands when they will become a functional means these glands will become a functional due to the influence of the hormones. Due to due to influence of this hormone, these glands it will start for releasing their secretion. So when they will release their secretion means only during their pregnancy and childbirth. Here as soon as the female, so she is in a conceiving condition, so automatically in the mammary gland metabolic changes it will be taken place, and these glands it will start for releasing the milk and after the childbirth. Now let us discuss about this one. So each breast has a broad multiporous erectile tip called nipple. So this is the diagram of the mammary gland. So which every time they'll ask this question either for 5 marks or 3 marks here. So here each breast region means it will be present in the chest region. So each breast what it contains means it contains a multiporous erectile tip called nipple. Erectile means what here? Erectile means stiff here. So each breast what it contains means multiporous here, because here many pores are present. So that's why we are calling it as a multiporous. Porous means what? Small holes. So how many holes will be present? So these many holes what we are calling means we are calling it as a nipple, which will be in a erectile tip it will be present. So they will be present at this tip region. Erectile tip it is present. So what we call this one is this region we are calling it as a nipple. So this is the region we are calling it as a nipple. Next, around this nipple a circular pigmented area called the areola it is present. So around this nipple region what happens means a circular region it will be present here, which will be in which color means it will be in a circular pigmented area which is in a pigment condition. It is covered by a pigment. So that pigment what we are calling means we are calling it as a areola. Which is areola? This is the areola. See this one. So this is the areola. So which is a pigmented area which will be covers this nipple in a circular manner. So as the nipple it is present means completely it will be covered like this area. So this area what we are calling means we are calling it as a areola we are calling. So you know very well. So first part what it is present that it has having the multiporous erectile tip it is present, we are calling it as a nipple, and this nipple it is completely surrounded by a pigment area called it as a areola. Which is the areola? So this region we are calling it as a areola. See like this area what we are calling it as a areola. This is we are calling it as a areola we are calling. Now areola is modified sebaceous gland to provide the lubrication for the nipple during the nursing. So what is the function of this areola here means? So this areola it is modified by the sebaceous gland. Areola it is modified by whom is? Areola it is modified by the sebaceous gland. Mammary gland it is modified by whom is? Mammary gland it is modified by the sweat gland. So keep remember mammary gland it is modified by which glands? It is modified by the sweat gland. So in this what are the areola it is present? This areola it is modified by this sebaceous gland. It is modified by whom is? It is modified by this sebaceous gland. What is the function of this areola means? It will act like a lubrication. So it is giving the lubrication. So why for at the time of the what means at the time of the nursing. Nursing means here when the baby it is sucking the milk from the mother. So that time you should not damage for the baby mouth and even for the mother. So that's like that here it is giving the lubrication here. So you know very well, as I said many times also, when two substance it will get rub means what happen, friction it will be taken place. So in order to avoid that friction, in order to avoid that damage here, so these areola it is giving the protection, it is acting like a lubrication. So when the baby it is sucking the milk from the mother, so that is we are calling it as a nursing. So like that. So in this what happen here means, in this breast we will find this one. So one is nipple is finished, another one what here means it is surrounded by a pigmented area, call it as what here means areola. What is the function of the areola means, it will act as a lubrication and during the nursing nursing means, as I said here, when the child it will be feeds the milk from the mother. Next, if you come to the still depth structure of the mammary gland means mammary gland are large hemisphere prominence made up of what it means, large amount of adipose tissues and glandular tissue. So mammary gland it is a large gland. Mammary gland what it is present, mammary gland it is a big gland, it is present. Like in our body varieties of glands are the pituitary gland, so then the adrenal gland, so salivary glands. In the same manner mammary gland is also one gland. This gland it is a large gland and it is a hemispheric prominence we are calling. So this gland how it is appearing, it is appearing like a hemisphere. So sphere means round, so sphere half we are calling it as a hemisphere. See, half sphere. So like this sphere it will comes here, so this sphere half it is a hemisphere. So that's why what we are calling mammary gland we are calling it as a half large hemisphere we are calling. Hemi means what here, half. So hemisphere prominence made up of large amount of adipose and glandular tissues. This mammary gland it is made up of two things here. Which are those two things means, one it is the adipose, another one is the glandular tissue. Complete mammary gland it is made up of two things here. It is made up of large amount of two things. Which are those two things means, one is the adipose, another one is the glandular tissue. First we will come to the glandular tissue. So glandular tissue consists of about 15 to 20 lobes it is present. So in glandular tissue what we will find, in glandular tissue we will find the 15 to 20 lobes we will find here. So like how you see here in this diagram we will find, so there this is like this is one lobe, this is one lobe. Like how assume that lobes to whom we are next one a bunch of grapes we are calling it as a lobes. You have seen the bunch of grapes here. In the same manner, so what happen here means, so mammary gland it contains what it contains, it contains 50 to 20 lobes it is present here. So they are like this, suppose here like this 20 lobes. In each lobe it contains the number of like this. So like this we are calling it as a bunch. 15 to what we are calling 15 to 20 lobes are present. See here, even you can see in your diagram also here. So completely this is one lobe and this is one lobe and this is one lobe. Totally in my diagram I have written the 3 lobes it is present. So completely this is one lobe, this is one lobe and this is one lobe. So like this it is contains the 3 like here I have written 3 lobes, 1, 2 and 3. 3 lobes are present. So totally in the mammary gland how many lobes are present here like this? 15 to 20 lobes will be present in each mammary gland it is present here. In each mammary gland how much it is present? 50 to 20 lobes are present. Now each lobe is further made up of number of lobules which consist of numerous milk secreting glands called alveoli. Assume that each lobe like a bunch of grapes. Assume that what I am telling, just you assume that you have seen the bunch of grapes here. In bunch of grapes you will find the many what here grapes we will find. In the same manner, so one bunch of grapes we are calling it as a one lobe. So how many bunches are there? 15 to 20 lobes are present here. Now each bunch, what it contains here? It contains the lobules. It contains lobules means one grapes we are calling it as a lobules here. So which are the lobules here means, in each what it contains, in each lobe it contains the number of lobules it represents. Like in each bunch it contains the number of grapes here. In the same manner in each lobe it contains the number of lobules, and that lobules what we are calling means we are calling it as a alveoli. That lobules what we are calling, that lobules we are calling it as a alveoli we are calling. 15 to 20 lobes are there. So in each lobe what it contains means, it contains the number of lobules. Lobules means assume that like a grapes, a bunch of grapes we are calling it as a what? A bunch of grapes we are calling it as a lobes. So how many lobes are present? 50 to 20 lobes are present. In each bunch there are plenty of what it contains? Grapes it contains. Now grapes we are calling it as a lobules, and that grapes only we are giving a specific name, call it as a alveoli. So which is the alveoli in your diagram? So see, this is the alveoli. So this is one bunch of what here? This is one bunch of what here? Lobe. So in each lobe it contains the number of lobules. Which are the lobules? See, these are all are the lobules which they have been shown like this, like this. So it contains the number of lobules. Each lobule what we are calling? Each lobule we are calling it as a alveoli. So that means here mammary alveolus. Alveolus is nothing but here alveoli. Alveolus is nothing but here alveoli. So many numerous alveoli present. See here, many alveoli are present here. Mammary alveoli it is present here. Next here, alveoli opens into the tubules, and the tubules of each lobe joins to form a mammary duct here. So next what happens is plenty of what it contains here, plenty of mammary alveoli are present like this. Plenty of alveoli are present here. So all these alveoli they will be opens into a what it contains, they will opens into a tubule like structure. What you call this tubule like structure means the tubules we are calling as a mammary tubules. What you call the tubules? The tubules we are calling as a mammary tubules. What we are calling? Mammary tubules. Each alveoli it will opens into a tube like structure. The tube like structures we are calling as a mammary tubules we are calling. Now these mammary tubules convey to what here means below these tubules of each lobe joins joins to form mammary duct. So each tubules what they are doing here, they are joining to form a mammary duct. They are joining here. So which is the mammary duct here? So like that, see here in the diagram, mammary duct. Which is the mammary duct? This is the mammary duct. So I made how many alveoli are present? All the alveoli they will be having the tubules are present. Mammary tubules are present. The tubules it is not visible in this diagram, but as I shown you here, like this tubules will be present. So the inside this alveoli the milk secretion will be taken place. That milk secretion it will pass us to this mammary tubules. Further these tubules of all the alveoli tubules, further it will be connected to one big tubule. That one big tubule what we are calling means we are calling it as a mammary duct. Later this mammary duct it will conveys to the ampulla. Later this ampulla it will be connected to the lactiferous duct, and from the lactiferous duct the milk it will be comes out to the nipple. So in this form what happens is milk production will be released from the mammary gland. So all the milk secretion will be taken in this alveoli, that is nothing but alveolus, isn't it? So milk secretion will take place in this alveoli. So from this what happens means it will comes out from this mammary tubule. So like this all the alveoli they will be having the tubule like structure. These tubules they will be connected to whom means they will be connected to the mammary duct. They will connected here. Duct means what here? Passage. So empty space will be present. From there what happens means the milk it will be passes, and from the duct it will be passes to the mammary ampulla, and from that mammary ampulla so it will passes to the lactiferous duct. So this is the lactiferous. So first it will secretion will take place in the alveoli. Next it will move to the duct. So then next it will passes from the mammary tubules, and from the mammary tubules it will passes to the mammary duct, then ampulla, and then finally it will comes to the lactiferous duct here. So in the here like that milk secretion will be taken place. So that is when they are telling here these ducts convey below the nipple to form a wide milk reservoir called mammary ampulla. Mammary ampulla even we are calling it as a lactiferous sinuses here. Mammary ampulla even what we are calling it as a lactiferous sinuses. This is another one name here. Next here these mammary ampulla or lactiferous sinuses continues as a narrow lactiferous duct, and number of lactiferous duct open into the nipple to a separate pores. Milk secretion occurs only after the parturition. So in this manner what happens is milk secretion when it will be taken place, milk secretion it will take place only after the parturition. Before the parturition, before the delivery in the mammary gland, the milk secretion it will not be taken place. As soon as the baby will be born, then only the milk secretion it will be take place in order to feed the young ones here. So it is stimulated by which hormone? It is stimulated with the prolactin hormone, so of anterior pituitary. So this milk secretion it is stimulated by which hormone? Means it is stimulated by the prolactin hormone. So this prolactin hormone it is from where it is arising? Means it is arising from the anterior pituitary, and the ejection of milk is under under the control of another hormone called oxytocin. So that means yeah, if in the female body milk secretion want to take place, means who is responsible? Prolactin hormone and oxytocin hormone it is responsible. Whereas prolactin hormone it is secreted by the anterior pituitary, oxytocin hormone it is secreted by the posterior pituitary. So understand, so two hormones is needed for what here, means two hormones is needed for the secretion of the milk. So this is both they are secreted from the pituitary gland only, but this hormone it will be secreted from the anterior pituitary, this it will be secreted from the posterior pituitary, it will get secreted. So now ejection, in your exam they may, if they ask you name the hormones responsible for the secretion of milk, means that time you have to write the prolactin hormone also and even was the oxytocin hormone also. But if they ask name the hormone responsible for the ejection of the milk here, means oxytocin hormone it is responsible. Ejection means the milk will be, production of milk in the mammary gland is done by this prolactin hormone. So in the mammary gland milk secretion want to take place, means which hormone it is needed? Prolactin hormone. And from the mammary gland the milk, if they want to take entry into the mother's body here, if they want to take entry into the fetus, means so who is responsible? Oxytocin hormone, because when the baby it suck the mammary gland, means so that time the milk should enter into the in her mouth. So that is only we are going to say ejection, releasing of milk. Ejection is nothing but a releasing of milk from this gland. It is done by which hormone? Means oxytocin hormone. So that's why ejection of milk it is done by which hormone? Oxytocin. They have been asked many times, keep remember this one. Ejection is nothing but release of milk from the mammary gland is called as ejection here. So that it is influenced by the oxytocin hormone. Whereas the formation of milk in the mammary gland it is done by whom? Means prolactin hormone. So that's why totally these two hormones are needed for the release of milk in the mammary gland. And a lacting mother, so it will secrete 1 to 2 liters of milk per day. So a lacting mother, how much it will secrete here? So 1 to 2 liters of milk it will be secreted per day. So this is about your mammary gland, so which is one of the most important question for your exam. So I repeated many times they have been asked either for 5 marks, either for 3 marks. So if they ask for 5 marks along with the explanation they will ask here. If they ask for 3 marks, means they will ask only the diagram. So everyone you have to practice this diagram. So next we will go to the next topic. Structure of a human sperm. So sperm is an haploid male gamete produced in the testes of the male during the spermatogenesis. So structure of the sperm we are going to discuss. You know very well sperm it is in male gamete which will be produced in whose body? It will be produced in the male body. In male body where it will be produced, means it will be produced in the gonad called it as a testis, or it will be produced in the sex organ called it as a testis, because this testis we are calling it as either we are calling it as a gonad or else even we are calling it as a testis. So as human sperm it will be produced in the male body, inside the male body it will be produced in the testis. Inside the testis it will be produced by a process called it as a spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis means it is a process where production of a haploid male gamete to take place in the testis. Already we have been discussed about this one. So sperm it is an haploid. Why we are calling it as haploid? Because it will be having the half set of a chromosome. Whose chromosome? Paternal chromosome it will be present. So it is a haploid male gamete. It will produce in the testis of the male during the process. Which process? During the process call it as a spermatogenesis. Now human sperm it is a small elongated motile tadpole shape and measures about 60 micron in length. Now if you come for the measurement of this sperm, is it is a very small compared to egg and the sperm. Sperm is very small in size, whereas egg it will be large in size. Both are made up of a single cell. Sperm is also made up of a single cell. Egg is also made up of a single cell only. But sperm they are small in size, egg it is a large in size. So sperm it is a small but it is an elongated structure. Sperm it is a like a elongated and it is a motile. Motile means what here? It shows the movement. Motile means what here? It will shows the movement here. And what is the shape means? It will be appears like a tadpole here. So tadpole to whom we are calling him is it is a larva of the frog. So it will appears like a larva of the frog only. So it is is a tadpole shape. And what is the measurement means? It will measures about 60 micron. Micron, it is a unit, like how we are using the varieties of unit kg, liter, meter, centimeter, kilometer. So in the we are using to measure the substances. In the same manner, to measure these cells also we are using the unit called it as a micron. It will measure about a 60 micron in length like this. It will measure 60 micron in length. Now this sperm totally it will be divided into the 4 parts here. Sperm it will be divided into the 4 parts. Which are those 4 parts means? One is the head, neck, middle piece and tail. So it will be divided into the 4 parts here. So like this here, this is the 4 parts. So complete this portion we are calling it up to here we are calling it as a head region. So this region we are calling it as a neck region, and this region we are calling it as a middle piece, and from here up to here we are what we are calling means we are calling it as a tail. So with the help of this tail only the sperm there shows the motility. So like that human sperm it will be divided into the 4 parts: head, neck, middle piece and next is the tail. So this is the tail. So it will be divided into the 4 parts. Now let us discuss one by one what are the parts present in the head and what is the function of that one, all the details like that about the 4 parts here. First we will start from the head region. So which is the head region? So this is the head region. So head it is present in the anterior part of the sperm. So sperm it is an elongated structure as shown here. Even the diagram also they have been mentioned in your textbook. See here it is an elongated structure. So where the head it is present in the anterior region. So this portion we are going to as anterior and this portion we are going to as posterior. So head where it is present? Head it is present in the anterior portion and it is slightly flattened in structure. So head it is a slightly flattened in structure they are present. So what they are telling? Head it is present in the anterior part of the sperm and it will be slightly flattened. And what is the shape means? It appears like a pear shape and it encloses a haploid nucleus. Inside that what we'll find? We'll find the haploid nucleus we will find. So this is the nucleus which contains the paternal 23 chromosomes will be present inside this. It is a haploid nucleus and it is contains single set of paternal chromosomes. Just now as I said here, single set means 23, half set only it is present. Whose chromosome? Paternal chromosomes are present. Now anterior part of the nucleus is covered by the acrosomal cap. So which is the acrosomal cap? This is the acrosomal cap here. Anterior part of the head it is covered by what here? It is covered by the acrosomal cap, and this acrosomal cap it is derived from whom? Means it is derived from the Golgi complex. So this is important question, keep remember. So acrosomal cap it is derived from whom? Means it is derived from the Golgi complex. It encloses lytic enzymes like hyaluronidase and sperm lysine. So where it is present? It will present inside this acrosomal cap. Inside this acrosomal cap lytic enzymes are present. Which are the lytic enzymes? Hyaluronidase and lysine. What is the benefit of these means? So they will help the sperm in the penetration inside the sperm inside the egg. What is the function of these lytic enzymes means? So these lytic enzymes they will help in the penetration of a sperm inside the egg during the what time? During the fertilization. When the fertilization it will take place, when the sperm and egg fuse together, when the sperm comes in contact with the egg, this sperm it will take entry. Already we have been studied in the general mechanism of the fertilization. Sperm will take entry inside the egg. So while it is taking entry, it will dissolve this egg membrane and it will take entry into the egg. So all this process it will be done with the help of whom? Means it will be done with the help of the lytic enzymes, call it as a hyaluronidase and sperm lysine, which will helps in the penetration of the sperm inside the egg. Here they may be ask you the question, what is the function of acrosomal cap? So such a type of question may be arises for you in your exam. So what is the function of acrosomal cap? Means acrosomal cap it contains the lytic enzymes like hyaluronidase and sperm lysine, which helps in the penetration of sperm inside the egg during the fertilization. Now the cytoplasm present towards the posterior side of the nucleus is called as postnuclear cap. Even what it contains here? It contains the cytoplasm. So this is the nucleus we are calling here. So here what we'll find means we'll find the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm present towards the posterior side. Acrosomal cap it is present which side? Acrosomal cap it is present in the anterior side. Now in this posterior side we will find the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm which is present in this posterior side of the nucleus, posterior side of this is the nucleus, posterior side of this nucleus, what we are calling means we are calling it as a postnuclear cap we are calling. So this is about your what means about your head. So head means what here? Head it is present in the anterior part of the sperm. So what is about your head means head, it is present in the anterior part of the sperm, which is slightly flattened in condition, and it will be appears like a pear shape. It encloses a nucleus which contains the single set of a paternal chromosome, and this anterior part of this nucleus, it contains the acrosomal cap, and this acrosomal cap it contains the lytic enzyme, and this acrosomal cap it is derived from where means it is derived by the Golgi complex here or Golgi operators. So with the help of this Golgi complex here or operators, acrosomal cap it will get produced. So which contains the lytic enzymes like hyalinidase and sperm lysine. What is the function of this one means it will helps in the penetration of the sperm inside the egg during the fertilization. Now below that posterior side of the nucleus it contains the cytoplasm. What you call that cytoplasm means we are calling it as a post nuclear cap we are calling. Next one, neck. Second part is the neck part. Second part of the what we are calling it as a neck part. So it is a short constricted region present between the head and the middle piece here. So it is a short region. So neck it is what it is a neck it is a short region it is present. Where it will be present means it will be present between the head and the middle piece. Which is the middle piece? This is the middle piece and this is the head. In between these two parts the neck it is a present. It is a short region it is present. It contains the two centriole. So what it contains? It contains the two centrioles here. Which is the two centrioles means one we are going to say proximal centriole, another one we are going to say distal centriole. What is the function of these two means proximal centriole it will help for the formation of the spindle fibers. What is the function of proximal centriole? It will help for the formation of the spindle fibers in the diploid zygote. So when the zygote formation will take place, at that time what happens means this proximal centriole it will help for the formation of what is spindle fiber. Whereas what is the function of the distal centrioles? Distal centriole means it will helps to produce the axial filament or axonema. Which is the axonema means this line which I have been drawn here. So this line we are calling it as a axonema, or else even we are calling it as a axial filament. What we are calling axial filament which will be produced from whom means it will be produced from this distal centriole, and it will be compressed and it will be ends at the tail. Continuously this axial filament or axonema it will start from the distal centriole and it will ends up to the tail. So it is forming an axis to the tail, axis to the up to the tail. So this is about your neck. So neck it is a short constricted region. So what it contains means it is present between the head and the middle region. It contains the two centrioles here, two types of centrioles. One is the proximal, another one is the distal. So in proximal centriole it will help for the formation of the spindle fibers at the time of the what is zygote formation, and it distal centrioles it will help for the formation of this axonema or axial filament. So up to the tail which is forming an axis here. So this is about your neck here. Next is the middle piece here. Middle piece as I shown you here. This is the middle piece we are calling. Now middle piece if you come here means it is an elongated here. Middle piece is an elongated cylindrical structure encloses a large amount of a coil or ribbon like mitochondria surrounding the axial filament here. So what is the middle piece means it is an elongated middle piece. It is an elongated part which will be appears like a cylindrical form. How it is appearing? It is appearing like a cylindrical form. It is appearing which contains a coiled or ribbon type of a mitochondria. So what it contains in this middle piece? It is an elongated cylindrical type it is present, and what it encloses means it contains a coil. See, this is the coil, like a coil it will present like this. In the same manner it encloses a coil like this. It encloses a coil or ribbon shaped mitochondria. This is the mitochondria, so which is surrounding this axial filament. So this is the axial filament surrounding to this axial filament. Like this axial filament if it is present means which is axial filament. So like this is suppose here if this is the axial filament means surrounding to like this the mitochondria will be present. So that they are telling it is what it contains large amount of, it encloses a large amount of coiled ribbon like mitochondria surrounding the axial filament. Now next here let us see what is the function of this middle piece here. So middle piece we are calling it as a engine room of the sperm. So in the middle piece, what we are calling it as a engine room of the sperm we are calling. So why we are calling it as a engine room of the sperm means because here it is supplying the energy for the sperm movement. So middle piece, what we are calling it as a engine room of the sperm. Why we are calling it as engine room is because it is providing the energy for the movement of the sperm. You know very well, mitochondria we are calling it as a storehouse of the cell we are calling, because it is storing the energy in it. So even the mitochondria, it is present inside our body cells also. So when we are in the starvation, that time also we are doing all our regular activities. So how we are getting the energy at that time here is because in every cell we will find the mitochondria, and that mitochondria, it is releasing the energy to do our normal activities. In the same manner, the mitochondria which is present in this middle piece also, it is providing the energy for the movement of the sperm. So hence what we are calling is, hence we are calling it as a engine room of the sperm we are calling. And this mitochondria is covered by a membranous sheet called Nimbus sheet or mitochondrial sheet. So mitochondria, it is covered by what here? It is covered by a sheet called it as a mitochondrial sheet. Mitochondria, it is covered by what here? It is covered by a sheet. So that sheet, what we are calling is, we are calling it as a mitochondrial sheet, or else even we are calling it as a Nimbus sheet we are calling. And next, middle piece and head is externally covered by the protoplasmic sheet. So both middle piece and what here means middle piece and the head region, it is covered by a protoplasmic sheet. So this is about here middle piece. So space, what is the important topic in that here means middle piece we are calling it as a, why middle, the question maybe arises for you in this manner. So why middle piece we are calling it as a engine room of the sperm? So because here it is providing the energy for the movement of the sperm, hence middle piece we are calling it as a, referred as a engine room of the sperm. This is the most important concept in this sperm. So either for 1 mark or 2 marks they may ask for you in the as a 3 marks here. So which is covered by a protoplasmic sheet. Next is the tail part here, which is the last part in the sperm, and it will present in the posterior part of the sperm. So the anterior part who is present, anterior part head it is present, posterior part who is present, posterior part the tail it is present. Tail it is present at the posterior part of the sperm, and this tail it is differentiated into the 2 parts here again. So one is the main piece, another one is the end piece here. Main piece is the anterior 2/3 of the tail. Like how suppose here tail it will be divided like this is the tail. Suppose here this is the long tail. This tail it is divided into the 3 parts here. Among the 3 parts, first 2 parts we are calling it as a what here is, we are calling it as a main piece. What we are calling it as a main piece. And the next last one part, 1/3 part. This is 2/3 part. This is 1/3 part. Third part we are calling it as a end piece. Anterior 2/3 part of the tail is covered by the protoplasmic sheet and called main. I call the main piece here. So anterior what it is present? Anterior 2/3 part which is present. So from here to here we are calling it as a tail. So if this tail we have been divided into 3 parts means from here to here we are calling it as a main piece. Which piece we are calling? We are calling it as a main piece, which is covered by the protoplasmic sheet. So protoplasmic sheet it is covered to the head to the middle piece, and even it will be covered to the what here means tail region. Completely for tail it is not covered. It is covered to the main piece of the tail. It is covered by the protoplasmic sheet. It is covered. Next, if you come to the what here is end piece. So this is the end piece here, which will becomes here 1/3 here. So this is the 1/3 of the tail piece it is present. So 1/3 of the tail is naked and contains only the axial filament. As I said here, axial filaments which will be derived from the distal centriole. So that axial filament it will be ends up to the last piece of the tail also here. And what is the function of the tail means? Tail it helps in the vibratal. Vibratal means it will shows the vibration movement here like this. So with the help of this vibration movement, easily the sperm will swim in the semen. So and it will be reaches to the what up to the egg. So the tail it is in vibratal nature and helps in the locomotion of the sperm. This is the function of the tail. So they are like that here. This is the complete structure of what here? This is the complete structure of the sperm. So sperm it is divided into the 4 parts. Head is finished, neck is finished, middle piece, and last is the tail. Tail which is divided into the 2 parts, main piece and end piece. Main piece we are connected as a 2/3 part of the tail we are connected as a main piece, which is covered by the protoplasmic sheet. Protoplasmic sheet it is not present in the end tail piece. It is present only up to the main piece, whereas one third of the tail it is naked here and contains what it contains. It contains the axial filament, which will be derived from the distal centriole. And what is the function of this means it will be vibratile in nature, which will help for the locomotion. Locomotion means what here? Movement. This is the complete structure of the what here means human sperm, which is a male gamete. Next we will move to the next structure that we are calling it as a human ovum. So that is nothing but a structure of the egg. So egg is nothing but ovum or egg or oocyte or ova. So these are the four names for we are given for the female gamete. So ovum is a haploid non-motile female gamete produced in the ovary through oogenesis process. So human ovum, what it means, it is also a haploid, like how sperm it is in a haploid in condition. In the same manner, ovum is also in a haploid in condition, which contains half set of whose chromosome? Maternal chromosome. In the sperm, whose set of chromosomes are present? Father chromosome it is present. In the egg, whose chromosomes will be present? Mother chromosome it will be present. So half set of mother chromosome it is present, and this structure it is a non-motile. So egg it will not show any movement. So that's why it is a non-motile, which will be released in the female body through the process called it as a oogenesis. Through which process called it as a oogenesis, where means in the ovary, inside the female body the gonads will be present, the sex organ present, call it as a ovary. Inside that ovary the ovum formation will take place. Now human ovum, it is a non-motile, just now I said here, it is a non-motile, spherical in shape. So like that here, see this, it is appears in a spherical in shape. It is in spherical in shape and it measures about 0.16 mm in diameter. So what is the measurement of this egg here means it will measure about 0.16 mm in diameter. So which will be in a spherical in shape and it is a non-motile. Now the functional ovum is developed inside the Graafian follicle. So you already have been studied this topic here. So in the Graafian follicles will present. So in the ovary, how many Graafian follicles will be present? Nearly 2 lakhs ovarian follicles will be present at the birth time here. But when they come to the maturity, that 2 lakhs it will be reduced to the 60,000 to 80,000 it will get reduced here. Among that 300 to 400 only it will comes to the maturity. So that mature ovarian follicles which contains the egg we are calling it as a Graafian follicle. So this egg it will be produced where means it will be produced in the Graafian follicle. It will be produced where means it will be produced in the Graafian follicle. The ovum is externally surrounded by the plasma membrane. So this is the structure of the what means egg. So which will be developed inside the Graafian follicle. So this structure where it will be produced, where it will be developed means it will be developed inside the Graafian follicle. So let us discuss the structure. Now egg or ovum, it is externally covered by a membrane. This is the membrane. It is externally covered by a membrane, call it as a plasma membrane. It is externally covered by a membrane, call it as a plasma membrane. So it is plasma membrane, and above this plasma membrane it contains a non-cellular translucent area. So this is the non-cellular translucent area we are calling. So it is in a transparent in condition. Transparent means you know very well here, which will be visible after that which is visible here. So it is a translucent area. That area we are calling it as a zona pellucida, which is the area we are calling it as a means this area we are calling it as a zona pellucida, which is a non-cellular. It is a it doesn't contain the cell here, just it is present like a jelly like structure it is present. That's why we have been mentioned that it as a translucent area. Above the plasma membrane we will find a non-cellular translucent area, call it as a zona pellucida, and outer to this zona pellucida we will find an irregular follicular structure. Outer to this zona pellucida what we will find here? Irregular. See, these are the irregular here. They doesn't have any particular structure. They are irregular in shape. So they are irregular follicular cells are present, call it as a corona radiata. Which are the corona radiata? This is the corona radiata, which is irregular follicle cells are present, call it as a corona radiata. Now if you come to the inner to the plasma membrane, so what we will find means we will find the cytoplasm. So this is the cytoplasm. This cytoplasm even we are calling it as a ooplasm also. Cytoplasm even what we are calling it as a ooplasm we are calling. This cytoplasm it differentiate into the two parts here. So cytoplasm it is divided into the two parts here. Outer what we are calling it as a ectoplasm, and inner we are calling it as a endoplasm. Completely it's inside the plasma membrane. We'll find the what we'll find. We'll find the cytoplasm. Thus this complete cytoplasm or ooplasm, again it will divided into the two parts here. Outer cytoplasm which is present, we are calling it as a ectoplasm. We are calling inner cytoplasm which we will find here, that is we are calling it as a endoplasm. We are calling. So inside this what is cytoplasm, we will find a haploid nucleus. We will find. So this is the haploid nucleus we will find. That means here egg nucleus. So whose nucleus this is? This is the egg nucleus. So that's why I have been mentioned here egg nucleus, which will be in a which condition? Haploid condition here. Egg nucleus it contains, or else even we are calling as a germinal vesicle also we are calling. Haploid nucleus even what egg nucleus even what we are calling means we are calling as a germinal vesicle we are calling. So human ovum is called as alecythal. Alecythal. Why means because yolk is absent. So human egg what we are calling? We are calling as a alecythal. Keep remember this one. It is important. Human egg we are calling as a alecythal we are calling. Why we are calling as a alecythal means yolk is absent. So why they doesn't want yolk here means because for development of an embryo, so for nourishment is given by the nourishment is given by the mother, so they doesn't need any yolk for the nourishment. So that's why yolk is absent. So that's the first step of egg. What we are calling is we are calling it as a alecythal we are calling. So this is the complete structure of the what here is human ovum. So already the sperm and the egg topic I have been done for the girls, but for the boys I didn't done. So I have been revised this topic. So these are the two gametes here. Among that, so sperm topic it is most important than the egg. Egg also they have been asked 1, 2, 3 times. They have been asked in the previous exam. Sperm, among that if you compare sperm and egg, which is the most important topic here means sperm is the most important topic here, which is the male gamete. So next here in this chapter let us discuss the another one most important, another one last topic, difference between the sperm and the egg. So let us know what are the difference between the sperm and the egg. Next topic is difference between the sperm and the egg. So first difference in the sperm is a haploid male gamete produced in the testes of the male. So next in the egg, what is the difference? Egg is also a haploid. So sperm is also a haploid, egg is also a haploid. But sperm it is produced in the male body, it will be produced in the female body, it will be produced. And this it will be produced in the testes of the male, and this it will produce in the ovary of the female. So this is the first difference between the sperm and the egg. Second difference what here? So sperm is small and motile. So both are single cell only. But if you compare the size here, sperm size is small, and even they will show the motility because they are having the tail. With the help of the tail, they will show the movement here. But egg it is large in size compared to sperm. Egg size is large and it is a non-motile in condition. Next, sperm shape is a tadpole shape. How the sperm it is present? Sperm it is an elongated tadpole shape it is present. Whereas egg it is a spherical in shape it is present. Round shape, spherical shape it is present. Next here, so it contains a haploid set of a paternal chromosome. Sperm also contains a chromosome. Egg also contains the chromosomes here. Both they contains the haploid set only. But in the sperm, whose set it is present? Chromosomes are present. Paternal, father chromosomes will be present. But in the egg, whose chromosome will be present is mother chromosome will be present. In the mother body, we have 23 chromosomes from the mother body it will be present in the egg. Whereas in the sperm, father 23 chromosomes will be present in the sperm. So that's why it contains the haploid set of paternal chromosome and it contains the haploid set of a maternal chromosome. Maternal means mother, paternal means father. Next difference, it contains little amount of cytoplasm. Inside the sperm, the cytoplasm will present, but it will be in a small quantity to prepare. Compared to egg, it contains a small quantity. Whereas if you come to the egg, it contains a large amount of cytoplasm it contains. Next difference here, protective membrane are absent. In the sperm, it doesn't have any protective membrane. So that's why here millions together sperm will be produced here, because it doesn't contains any protective membrane here. So no need to worry about the damage of the sperm, because not one or two sperms are present, millions together sperms are present. So that's why they are not protected by any protective membrane. But here egg will be released only one. So that's why they are having the protective membranes are present, like here zona pellucida, corona radiata. So like that they are present, corona radiata. So they are having the protective membranes are present, because only single egg will be produced in the female body. So that's why it is need to give the protection. But here millions together are present, so that's why there is no protective membrane for the sperm. And next last difference, so sperm is divided into the differentiated into the parts here: head, neck, middle piece and tail. Sperm is divided into these 4 parts here. Just now we have been discussed here. But here in this here egg, it will not get differentiated, but in the egg will not differentiate in that manner. Head, neck, tail, like that will not differentiate. So that's why it is not differentiated, it is differentiated. So this is the difference between the sperm and the egg. But this is not the important question here, but keep remember this concept. Suppose in future in your exam they may be asked me, these are the points you have to remember. So here we completed this 3rd chapter. So here regarding this 3rd chapter, if you have any doubts means you can ask the doubts, or you can message here doubts, or you can call me and you can ask here doubts. So read this 3rd chapter, and anybody if they want the notes means they can contact me. So they can come to college and they can collect the notes. And next class we will discuss the 2nd chapter, because in 2nd chapter still some topics it is in pending. So we will complete that 2nd chapter. Later we will move to the 4th chapter.